Okay, let me see if this works. Hey guys, this is your High Fist, Ruthan Bad. I'm also the king of the Warren of Aral Gamelin, and I think I'm the Prince of Demons or something like that. But anyway, enough about me. Let me jump into this video. Firstly, thank you to Ishkar for sort of encouraging me in his own light way when I mentioned that I should probably just try shooting a video about Malazan since I consider myself to be a huge fan. And as most of you would know, he put out this video recently and he sort of sent out, I don't know, what is it called, a challenge or a tag or whatever it is, right? Asking different people to post videos with their own synopsis of the Malazan series of Malazan, right? Whatever you want to call it. So I thought I would sort of jump in as well. Firstly, this is my first video of sorts, so there might be technical errors. Please forgive me for that. I am pretty technologically illiterate in some ways, but anyway, I ramble. Let me get back. So the Malazan series is pretty complex. Let me try to tackle this in a way that others haven't, as in, instead of providing a synopsis through what Malazan is, maybe it would be useful to go through a synopsis, so to speak, by looking at what Malazan isn't, right? So, number one, it is not a series, so to speak. And I know that's a bit confusing because, as far as publishers and book buyers and all of us go, it is the 10 big books, 10 very big books, whatever you want to call it. It is a series, but it's not a series in the sense that it has one proper narrative that goes from start to finish. There are a couple of plots that you see recurring throughout. There are a couple of characters whom you see sort of making appearances in all 10 books. But ultimately, I think the best way to look at the series is not as a series, but rather as a crossover. So, if any of you are, let's say, comic book fans, in the old days, Marvel used to be the king of it, where they would do these crossovers, where there would be, in your weekly sort of run of X-Men, there would be a story, there would be one in Spider-Man, Iron Man, the Hulk, blah, 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 and all of them would have converging stories. And that's, I think, the best way to sort of look at the Malazan series, because if you get into it expecting there to be one story from start to finish, and if you get into it expecting sort of one cast of characters to be with you throughout that entire journey, much like a lot of epic fantasy, I suppose. Sorry, I need to keep adjusting my earphones, right? Like I said, technical glitches. Anyway, if you expect something like that, then you are likely to be disappointed. So think of the Malazan series as many different shows or whatever series that you want to think of, right? And think of it as a crossover between all these different stories. That is one thing. The second is Malazan really about gods and dragons and magic and stuff like that? Yes, it is, but in some senses, no, it's not. Because another issue that I think a lot of readers would find frustrating if they go into it expecting something else is that Malazan is not really about a series where people just kick ass. Of course, a lot of people kick ass, but there's always some ulterior motive to it. There's always some kind of philosophical or historical or even sort of scientific point in some cases, or economic points in some cases that Erickson tries to convey. What else? It's about, listen, I'm not going to go into the whole compassion and empathy thing, right? Maybe that should be for an entirely sort of separate video if people like this. What else? It's about war. It's about conflict. Another common thing that I find people saying is that the Malazan series is about the Malazan Empire, which once again is not strictly true, and a lot of people might find this surprising. But if you look at book 5 in the series, you can go through every single page of that story in Midnight Tides, and you will not find one reference to the Malazan Empire. As in, you will never find the word Malazan there, other than the cover of the book and the front page of the book, where the first page of the book where it says book 5 of the Malazan series, and the last page of the book, which says, here ends book 5 of the Malazan series or whatever, you will not find the word Malazan being used in Midnight Tides. I challenge anybody to find even one instance where the word Malazan is used in book 5. So it's not about that empire, although I would argue that Erikson does make a lot of interesting points about the nature of empires through this Malazan cast of characters. But it's not really about that. There are many themes that dominated, and understanding the series as a in totality rather, it would be a lot easier for us to do it by just looking at the themes. So the themes would be certainly empire, cultural disparity, cultural imperialism in many ways. Yes, even though I make fun of it, it's about compassion and empathy. There's a lot of military strategy there. There's a lot of economic strategy there. There's a lot of stuff about how history is recorded and interpreted differently by different cultures. So ultimately, the Malazan series is about many, many different things. And as I say this, I kind of regret not having a script, because I'm sure I could have done a much better job if I'd actually sort of just penned my thoughts down before spouting off on camera. But I don't have the discipline to sort of work with a script. So that would be my overall synopsis, right? It's about many different stories that happen at similar times, that involve different characters from time to time. But ultimately, it's a crossover. It's a crossover of many different stories, and it's all about balance and people trying to find identity and the folly of mankind, right? The folly of humanity, and even the folly of gods. As cliche as it sounds, the Malazan series is one of the best works that I think anybody can read when it comes to an interesting take on mythology and gods being flawed. I would like to do a separate video on it eventually, but Malazan's really good when it comes to showing gods in a flawed light, how they compete with each other, how they can be as petty as their sort of mortal inferiors and stuff like that. So I apologize for this video not being better. I think I can do a better job, but I'm probably not, to be honest. Even getting myself to record this was a chore. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully that kind of answers the sort of challenge of providing a synopsis for Malazan, although I'm pretty sure I failed. But anyway, see you guys, and thank you.